Okay, so get ready, because we're diving into the world of Aleister Crowley.
The Beast 666.
That's the one. This deep dive is going to explore his thoughts on magic and mysticism, and we're going to be drawing from a fascinating source.
His letters.
Yes, his letters compiled in Magick Without Tears. You know, Crowley's always been a really controversial figure,
Oh, yeah.
but I find him undeniably fascinating. What about you?
Absolutely. And one of the things I find most interesting about Crowley is his approach to teaching.
Oh, how so?
Well, he didn't want to, like, force-feed anyone with beliefs or dogma. He saw himself more as a fellow student on this path.
Oh, wow.
A fellow sufferer, he called himself.
More of a shared exploration then.
Exactly. Crowley believed so strongly that intellectualizing just gets you absolutely nowhere.
Really?
He was all about direct experience as the path to true understanding.
So it's one thing to read about magic,
Right.
but to really grasp it, you have to like roll up your sleeves and get involved.
Yes, 100%. And you know, that rejection of dogma, of just accepting what you're told, that's a thread that's woven through all of his work.
I see.
He wanted people to question everything, challenge traditional morality even, and come to their own conclusions based on what they personally experienced.
So wait, so does that mean that even like everyday things could be considered magic?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He literally said, and I quote, "Every action, even every thought, is a magical act."
Wow.
For him, magic was the science and art of causing change to occur in conformity with the will.
Okay, so help me wrap my head around that. How could something as simple as like deciding what to have for dinner be a magical act?
Well, it's all about the ripple effect. Every choice you make impacts your life
Right.
and the world around you.
Okay.
Crowley felt very strongly that by consciously aligning our actions with our true desires, with our will, we can shape reality itself.
Now, I've heard about Crowley's 3 schools of magic. What are they exactly, and how do they fit into all of this?
He identified the yellow, black, and white schools. Each one has its own unique perspective on the universe, but it's not about, like, good versus evil or anything like that.
Okay.
Think of them more as different lenses through which to view reality and to practice magic.
Gotcha. So different approaches, not necessarily good or bad. Tell me more about these lenses.
Okay, well, let's take the yellow school.
Okay.
They see the universe as neutral.
Okay.
Their focus is on minimizing internal conflict and aligning with the natural order. It's actually very similar to Taoism in that way, going with the flow instead of fighting against it.
I can see how that ties into aligning with your will.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not fighting the current, it's easier to direct your energy towards what you want.
Right.
What about the black school? How do they view things?
The black schools see the universe as inherently flawed, full of suffering.
Oh, wow.
And their goal is to escape this reality. It's kind of like the Buddhist concept of achieving nothingness to break free from suffering.
So for them, magic is about transcending this reality altogether.
That's right.
And the white school...
The white school are all about transforming the world. They believe in actively engaging with the forces of nature, using them to transmute even negative aspects into something positive and joyful.
Interesting.
It reminds me a lot of the philosopher Spinoza,
Oh, yeah.
who saw the universe as one interconnected substance, with good and evil just being our interpretations.
That's really interesting. Kind of like turning lemons into lemonade, but on like a cosmic scale.
Exactly.
Now, you can't talk about Crowley without mentioning Thelema.
Of course.
That whole do what thou wilt thing can be pretty confusing and very easily misinterpreted.
Right.
What's the real deal with that?
So the full phrase is, "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law." And it's the core principle of Thelema, revealed to Crowley in the Book of the Law.
Yeah.
It's not about indulging every, like, whim or desire, though.
Right.
It's more about discovering and aligning with your true will, your deepest purpose.
But how do you know what your true will even is?
It's a journey.
Go.
A journey of self-discovery. Crowley believed in using tools like divination, meditation, even dream analysis to uncover it.
Okay.
And paying attention to those kind of weird coincidences or synchronicities.
Interesting.
Those were important too.
So actively seeking it out, not just waiting for a lightning bolt of inspiration.
That's it.
What about the role of the holy guardian angel?
Right.
That's a big part of Crowley's system, isn't it?
Yes, it's a big part. In Crowley's system, the holy guardian angel is a unique spiritual guide who provides support and direction on your path.
Okay.
He even saw it as a potential relationship with someone who had transcended humanity.
Wow.
Someone offering mentorship or even a fatherly role.
Is that similar to the idea of a higher self?
He actually rejected that term.
Really?
He saw the HGA as a separate being,
Okay.
not just a part of your own consciousness.
So achieving knowledge and conversation of your holy guardian angel was crucial for him.
Right.
So what does knowledge and conversation actually mean in this context? How would someone even begin to connect with their HGA?
Well, it's about developing a relationship with this being.
Okay.
Crowley suggests methods like meditation, ritual work, even astral travel, which he believed helped you develop the subtle body needed to interact with these beings.
So it's not just sitting around hoping they'll show up. It takes effort, active cultivation.
Exactly.
And you mentioned astral travel.
Right.
Did Crowley believe that everyone can do that?
He did. He saw it as a skill to be developed.
Wow.
For Crowley, it was about going beyond your physical body, exploring other realms, gaining knowledge, and even influencing things back here on the physical plane.
Wow. Okay. So astral travel is less about having an out-of-body experience for fun.
Yes.
It's a tool for growth and exploration.
Exactly.
He even emphasized the importance of keeping a detailed record of your experiences.
Yes.
What he called a magical record, to track your progress and insights.
Right.
That makes sense, like keeping a journal of your spiritual journey.
Yeah.
But specifically for magical practices. And speaking of practices,
Yes.
Crowley also had some interesting thoughts on talisman construction.
It did.
He actually gave specific instructions for creating these objects, which are imbued with magical power for specific purposes.
Right.
So talismans aren't just lucky charms.
No.
There's a real process behind creating them.
Exactly.
That's involved.
Well, he emphasized the importance of carefully considering the desired outcome and aligning the talisman with the appropriate forces, whether planetary, elemental, or astrological.
So it's not just wishing for something to happen.
No.
It's understanding the forces at play and working with them intentionally.
That's it.
And this is where Crowley's belief in astrology really comes in.
Right.
He thought understanding the influence of the stars, especially your rising sign, was crucial for magical work.
Absolutely.
Speaking of astrology, Crowley had a real knack for guessing people's rising signs just by looking at them.
He did.
It's a great example of how he connected different aspects of reality. For him, magic was intertwined with everything from the stars to how we interact with the world.
100%.
He believed that every single thing is connected in some way, right?
He did.
He called it the magical link. This idea that everything in the universe is linked, and by understanding those links, you can influence one thing by acting on another.
Right, like a cosmic chain reaction.
Whoa! So influencing one part of the chain can set off a whole series of events.
Exactly.
That's pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah.
What are some of the techniques he suggested for tapping into this magical link?
Well, he believed in a daily magical practice, things like ritual work, meditation, and developing your will.
Okay.
He also believed in carefully keeping track of your experiences in your magical record to see those links more clearly.
Makes sense. The more aware you are of the connections, the better you can understand and work with them.
Right.
So with this magical link, are we talking about like manipulating the universe to get what you want?
Crowley would say it's not about manipulating, but about understanding the flow of energy and working in harmony with it.
Okay.
Like a sailor using the wind to propel their ship.
Okay.
You're aligning yourself with the natural forces to achieve your aims.
So it's less about forcing your will and more about becoming a skilled navigator of these cosmic currents.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, one thing that always comes up with Crowley is the controversy surrounding his personal life and teachings.
Of course.
He really challenged traditional morality, didn't he?
He did. He questioned societal norms around things like sexuality and personal freedom.
Okay.
This made him quite a controversial figure in his time.
Right.
He also had some very radical ideas about the relationship between pursuing spiritual growth and navigating societal expectations.
Interesting.
Particularly family ties.
Yeah, wasn't he quite extreme in how he addressed that?
He was.
Yeah.
He actually suggested that a complete and permanent break from family was necessary if they actively opposed or interfered with your spiritual work. He felt that prioritizing the great work, as he called it, was paramount, even above familial obligations.
That's definitely a bold stance. He wasn't afraid to shake things up, was he?
Not at all.
So for someone who might be new to Crowley, where would you suggest they start? His writings can be a bit intimidating.
It can be, yes.
Where would you point them?
Well, his most famous work is the Book of the Law.
Right.
But honestly, I'd actually recommend starting with Magick Without Tears.
Oh, really?
It's written in a more conversational style,
Okay.
and it offers a really good introduction to his ideas on magic.
And he even throws in some humor along the way, right?
He does, he does.
Yeah.
He had a very witty, often sarcastic way of expressing himself.
Yeah.
He wasn't afraid to poke fun at himself,
Mm-hmm.
at society, even at spirituality itself.
I can definitely see how that would make his work more approachable.
Yeah.
And for people who want to go beyond just reading about magic
Right.
and start putting it into practice,
Yeah.
what did Crowley suggest?
He was a big believer in self-discipline and training.
Oh.
He felt very strongly that true power comes from a strong will,
Right.
a focused mind, and really understanding how magic works.
Yeah.
He was a big advocate for meditation and yoga
Okay.
to develop mental and physical strength.
So it's not a quick fix.
No.
It's a commitment to personal development and growth.
Exactly. He saw magic as a path of self-discovery and transformation,
Right.
not a shortcut to getting whatever you want.
We've only just scratched the surface here, but I'm already fascinated by the depth and complexity of Crowley's ideas.
Me too.
I'm definitely starting to understand why he continues to intrigue and provoke people even today.
Yeah, he's definitely a figure that stays with you.
Absolutely.
This is just the beginning.
Yeah.
In the next part, we'll dive deeper into his thoughts on astral travel, talisman construction, and even his views on reincarnation.
Okay, wait.
It's going to be a wild ride.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to it. Okay, so we were talking about astral travel, something that Crowley considered to be a skill that could be developed.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, I'm still a little fuzzy on what he thought people could actually DO during astral travel.
Well, for Crowley, astral travel wasn't about, like, having some kind of out-of-body experience just for the thrill of it.
Okay.
He saw it as a way to explore different realms of existence, to connect with spiritual beings and to access knowledge that's normally hidden from our physical senses.
So more like a tool for spiritual exploration and development,
Yes.
not just a joyride through the cosmos.
Exactly. He believed that through astral travel, you could gain insights into the workings of the universe.
Okay.
Interact with forces beyond our normal perception and potentially even influence events back here on the physical plane.
Okay, that's pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah.
But if it's a skill, how did he think people could actually develop this ability to astral travel?
He advocated for a number of techniques, including meditation, visualization, and even dream work.
Okay.
He also believed that keeping a detailed magical record of your experiences was essential,
Right.
kind of like a journal,
Huh?
to track your progress and insights.
So it's not something that just happens overnight.
No,
It takes dedication and practice.
definitely.
Now, Crowley also believed in the power of ritual in general, didn't he?
Oh, absolutely.
For him, ritual was a way of focusing your will,
Right.
creating sacred space
Yes,
to connect with deeper forces and achieve specific goals.
100%.
What kind of rituals are we talking about here? Were there any specific ones that he recommended?
Well, Crowley drew from a variety of traditions,
Okay.
incorporating elements from ancient Egyptian magic,
Okay.
Eastern mysticism, and even Western ceremonial magic.
Wow.
But he always stressed that the effectiveness of any ritual really comes down to the intention and mindset of the practitioner.
So it's not about blindly following some ancient formula.
No.
It's about bringing your own energy and focus to the practice.
Exactly. He even encouraged people to adapt and modify rituals to suit their own individual needs and intentions.
That makes sense. It's about understanding the principles behind the ritual,
Right.
not just going through the motions.
That's it.
Now, another aspect of Crowley's teachings that I find really intriguing is his concept of the magical memory.
Yeah.
He believed that we carry the memories of past lives within us,
Yes.
and that accessing those memories can provide valuable insights into our current incarnation.
Absolutely.
That's a fascinating idea.
It is.
But how did he think people could actually tap into those past life memories?
Well, he advocated for practices like meditation and mindfulness,
Okay.
similar to the Buddhist concept of samasati, or mindful recollection.
Okay.
He also believed that keeping a detailed magical record of your experiences, your dreams, and your insights could help to awaken those hidden memories.
So it's not just about remembering what you had for breakfast yesterday. It's about accessing a deeper layer of memory, kind of like soul-level memory bank.
That's a great way to put it.
And Crowley believed that those past life memories could offer clues to our current challenges,
Yes.
our talents, and even our destiny in this lifetime.
Totally.
Now, we can't talk about Crowley without addressing some of the controversies surrounding his teachings.
Of course not.
He was often labeled as a black magician or a Satanist. Right.
Those were some of the accusations thrown at him, yes.
But he always vehemently denied those labels, didn't he?
Oh, he did.
He saw himself as a spiritual revolutionary.
Yeah.
Someone who is challenging outdated moral codes and advocating for personal freedom and self-discovery.
That's right.
But even beyond those labels, his teachings often dealt with some pretty taboo subjects, didn't they?
They did.
Especially his exploration of sexuality and his use of provocative imagery and symbolism.
Yes, those aspects of his work were definitely shocking and controversial in his time. And they continue to be debated today. Some see it as a deliberate attempt to shock and offend, while others interpret it as a symbolic representation of the creative and transformative power of sexual energy.
Crowley himself argued that sex is a fundamental force in nature,
Right.
a manifestation of the creative energy of the universe.
Yes.
He saw the act of sex as a microcosm of the cosmic process of creation and destruction, a dance between opposing forces that ultimately leads to transformation and evolution.
Right. And he believed that by understanding and harnessing sexual energy, we can unlock hidden potential, achieve spiritual insights, and even influence events on the physical plane.
So for him, it wasn't about suppressing or denying those energies, but about understanding and working with them in a conscious and intentional way.
Exactly. He believed that sexual energy is a powerful force that can be used for both creative and destructive purposes, and that it's up to each individual to choose how they want to channel that energy.
Now, beyond the controversies, there's also a lot of emphasis in Crowley's teachings on self-discipline and rigorous training.
Yes.
It's not all about hedonism and free love, is it?
It's definitely not. Crowley was a strong advocate for meditation, yoga, and other practices designed to cultivate mental and physical discipline.
Right.
He believed that by mastering our inner world, we can gain greater control over our external reality.
So it's not just about indulging in every whim and desire.
No.
It's about developing the willpower and focus to direct those energies towards your true goal.
Exactly. He saw those practices as essential for anyone seeking to develop true magical power and to achieve spiritual enlightenment.
He also had some pretty radical views on the relationship between personal spiritual growth and the expectations of society, particularly family ties, didn't he?
He did. He believed that true spiritual progress requires unwavering dedication and a willingness to prioritize the great work above all else, even familial obligations.
Wow.
He even went so far as to suggest that a complete and permanent break from family members who actively opposed or interfered with your spiritual path might be necessary.
That's definitely a controversial stance.
It is.
It sounds like he really emphasized the importance of individual freedom and self-reliance in the pursuit of spiritual growth.
He did. And he believed that true freedom sometimes requires us to make difficult choices.
Right.
And to break free from the constraints of societal expectations that might hold us back.
Now, Crowley also had a strong interest in the Kabbalah.
Oh, yeah.
The mystical tradition of Judaism.
Of course.
How did he incorporate that into his teachings?
He saw the Kabbalah as a kind of roadmap to the universe.
Okay.
A symbolic representation of the hidden structure of reality and its connection to the human psyche.
I see.
He used the Kabbalistic tree of life, a diagram that maps out the relationships between different aspects of creation, as a framework for understanding the nature of the gods, the forces of the universe, and the path of spiritual evolution.
So for him, it wasn't just some ancient system of beliefs.
Yeah.
It was a practical tool for understanding the forces at play in the universe and in ourselves.
Exactly. He believed that by studying and working with the Kabbalah, we can gain a deeper understanding of the forces that shape our lives and the universe around us.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like a symbolic language that can help us to decode the mysteries of existence.
Exactly. And Crowley believed that the Kabbalah offered a powerful system for self-discovery, for unlocking our hidden potential and connecting with the divine.
Now, we've talked a lot about the more mystical and esoteric aspects of Crowley's teachings.
Yeah.
But I'm also curious about his thoughts on more practical matters.
Okay.
Did he have any advice for dealing with the challenges of everyday life?
He did. He believed that the principles of magic could be applied to every aspect of life. From relationships and finances to health and creativity.
Interesting.
He emphasized the importance of taking responsibility for our own lives.
Right.
You know, of not blaming external forces or circumstances for our misfortunes.
So it's about recognizing our own power to shape our reality.
Exactly. He saw victimhood as a trap.
Okay.
A way of giving away our power and preventing ourselves from taking action to create the life we desire.
That's a powerful message.
Yeah.
It's about owning our choices
Uh-huh.
and taking charge of our own destiny.
Absolutely.
He also believed that overcoming fear is essential for personal growth, didn't he?
He did.
He saw fear as a major obstacle to spiritual progress.
Yeah.
Arguing that it paralyzes us and prevents us from fully embracing the possibilities of life. So it's not about pretending that fear doesn't exist.
No.
It's about facing our fears head on.
Yes.
And not letting them control us.
Exactly. He believed that true courage comes from confronting our fears,
Right.
not from avoiding them.
And one thing that I've always found interesting about Crowley is his emphasis on the importance of breaking free from limiting beliefs and embracing a more expansive view of reality.
Right.
He seemed to really challenge the conventional wisdom of his time.
He did. He felt that many of the rules and restrictions imposed by society were actually hindering our spiritual growth.
Okay.
He encouraged people to question their assumptions,
Right.
to break free from the constraints of dogma and to forge their own path based on their own individual understanding of truth.
So it's not about blindly following the crowd.
No.
It's about trusting our own inner guidance.
Yes.
And creating a life that aligns with our true values.
Exactly. And he believed that this journey of self-discovery and liberation is an ongoing process, one that requires us to constantly challenge ourselves.
Right.
To expand our awareness and to evolve our understanding of the world.
Now, speaking of evolution, Crowley also had some pretty interesting ideas about reincarnation, didn't he?
He did.
He believed that we carry the memories of past lives within us.
Yes.
And that accessing those memories can provide valuable insights into our current incarnation.
That's right.
But his views on reincarnation differed somewhat from traditional understandings.
They did.
He didn't believe that everyone reincarnates, did he?
No, he didn't.
Suggesting that it's a relatively rare occurrence.
Yeah, he thought that only those who have accumulated sufficient spiritual momentum or have taken specific oaths to continue their work on this plane will reincarnate.
So it's not a guaranteed thing.
Not according to Crowley.
He believed that most souls dissolve back into the cosmic soup, so to speak, after death.
Yeah.
But for those who do reincarnate, he emphasized the importance of remembering past lives as a tool for self-understanding of spiritual progress.
Absolutely.
That reminds me of what we were talking about earlier,
Yeah.
his concept of the magical memory. He advocated for practices like meditation and mindfulness to help awaken those hidden memories.
That's right. And he believed that keeping a detailed magical record of our experiences, both mundane and magical, could also aid in that process.
Okay.
He saw it as a way of creating a kind of karmic roadmap that can help us understand the patterns and themes that are playing out in our current life.
So by looking back at our past,
Right.
we can gain a clearer understanding of our present and potentially even influence our future.
Exactly. Crowley saw the magical memory as a powerful tool for unlocking hidden potential, resolving karmic knots, and accelerating our spiritual evolution.
Wow.
He also believed that by consciously choosing to reincarnate and continue our work, we can contribute to the evolution of humanity as a whole.
Now, Crowley was known for his use of unconventional and often provocative language.
Of course.
He often used sexual imagery and symbolism in his writings.
He did.
Which naturally raised some eyebrows.
It did.
This aspect of Crowley's work has been both praised and criticized, hasn't it?
It has.
Some see it as a deliberate attempt to shock and offend.
Yeah.
While others interpret it as a symbolic representation of the creative and transformative power of sexual energy. Crowley himself argued that sex is a fundamental force in nature, a manifestation of the creative energy of the universe.
Yes.
He saw the act of sex as a microcosm of the cosmic process of creation and destruction, a dance between opposing forces that ultimately leads to transformation and evolution.
And he believed that by understanding and harnessing sexual energy, we can unlock hidden potential, achieve spiritual insights, and even influence events on the physical plane.
This reminds me of his teachings on the magical link.
Yes.
The concept that everything in the universe is interconnected.
Right.
And that by understanding these connections, we can influence one event by acting upon another.
That's a key principle in Crowley's system.
Okay.
He believed that by understanding the correspondences between different aspects of reality, we can manipulate these connections to achieve our desired outcomes.
That's interesting.
He often used the analogy of a chain reaction, where one event triggers a series of interconnected events.
So it's not about forcing our will upon the world.
No.
But rather about understanding the natural flow of energy and aligning our actions with these forces to achieve our aims.
Exactly. Crowley saw magic as a science, a system of understanding and manipulating the forces of nature to achieve specific results.
Now, Crowley's teachings also emphasized the importance of self-discipline and rigorous training, didn't they?
They did.
He believed that true magical power comes from developing a strong will, a focused mind, and a deep understanding of the principles of magic.
That's right.
He was a strong advocate for meditation, yoga, and other practices designed to cultivate mental and physical discipline.
He was.
He believed that by mastering our inner world,
Yes,
we can gain greater control over our external reality. This reminds me of his concept of the magical memory, which we talked about earlier. Crowley believed that by training our minds to remember past lives and access hidden knowledge, we can accelerate our spiritual growth and unlock hidden potential.
that's right. Crowley saw the magical memory as a vast storehouse of wisdom and experience that we can tap into to gain insights into our current incarnation and overcome karmic obstacles.
He also believed that by consciously choosing to reincarnate and continue our work on this plane, we can contribute to the evolution of humanity as a whole.
That's a key aspect of Crowley's vision for the future.
Okay.
He believed that by consciously evolving ourselves, we can help to create a more enlightened and liberated society.
This reminds me of his concept of the new aeon, a period of spiritual awakening and social transformation that he believed was ushered in by the revelation of the Book of the Law.
That's right.
Crowley saw this new aeon as a time of great opportunity and upheaval.
Yeah.
A time when old structures and belief systems would be challenged and new ways of being would emerge.
He believed that those who align themselves with the principles of Thelema, his philosophy of self-discovery and liberation, would play a key role in shaping this new era.
Now, Crowley's writings are full of references to rituals and magical practices.
They are.
What role did ritual play in his system?
Okay.
And did he believe that specific rituals were necessary for achieving magical results?
Crowley saw ritual as a way of focusing the will, of creating a sacred space and time in which to connect with deeper forces and achieve specific aims.
I see.
But he also believed that the effectiveness of a ritual depends largely on the intention and the mindset of the practitioner.
So it's not just about going through the motions of a particular ceremony.
No.
It's about bringing the right energy and focus to the practice.
Exactly. Crowley believed that ritual should be approached with a sense of reverence and purpose.
Okay.
Not as a mere formality or superstition.
Right.
He also emphasized the importance of adapting rituals to suit your individual needs and intentions.
Yeah.
Not blindly following prescribed formulas without understanding their underlying principles.
Now, Crowley was a prolific writer.
He was?
Producing a vast body of work that covers a wide range of topics.
Right.
What are some of his most important and influential writings?
Okay.
And what advice would you give to someone who's just starting to explore his work?
Well, Crowley's most famous work is undoubtedly the Book of the Law, which he claimed was dictated to him by a supernatural entity named Awes.
Okay.
This book contains the core principles of his philosophy of Thelema, which emphasizes individual liberty, self-discovery, and the pursuit of one's true will.
Okay, other important works.
Other important works include Magick Without Tears, which offers a more accessible and practical introduction to his ideas on magic.
Okay.
And Liber ABA, a comprehensive overview of his magical system and philosophy.
For those just starting to explore Crowley's work,
I
recommend beginning with Magick Without Tears.
Yeah, it's a good one to start with.
Which is written in a more conversational style and offers a clear and concise explanation of his key concepts.
It does.
It's also helpful to to approach Crowley's writings with an open mind and a critical eye.
Yes.
Don't be afraid to question his ideas or disagree with his conclusions.
Right.
The goal is to engage with his work actively, not to passively accept his pronouncements as gospel truth.
Exactly.
It's also important to remember that Crowley's work is deeply personal and subjective.
It is.
What resonates with one person may not resonate with another.
Right.
The key is to find what speaks to you, to use Crowley's teachings as a springboard for your own exploration and discovery.
Yes.
Not as a rigid set of doctrines to be blindly followed.
That's a very important point.
Now, Crowley's legacy is complex and multifaceted, isn't it? He was a controversial figure in his own time, and his reputation continues to be debated today.
For sure.
But there's no denying the profound impact he's had on the study of magic, the occult, and the exploration of consciousness.
Absolutely.
His teachings have inspired countless individuals to challenge conventional thinking, to embrace their own unique path, and to explore the hidden depths of their own being.
His writings continue to be studied and debated by scholars and practitioners of magic and the occult to this day.
Now, we've talked a lot about the theoretical and philosophical aspects of Crowley's work.
We have.
But I'm also curious about the practical side of things.
Okay.
What kind of specific techniques and practices did he recommend for those seeking to apply his teachings in their own lives?
Well, Crowley was a strong advocate for daily magical practice, emphasizing the importance of ritual meditation and the development of a strong will. He believed that by consistently engaging with these practices, we can gradually transform ourselves and our reality.
He also placed a lot of emphasis on the importance of keeping a detailed magical record.
He did.
To document experiences, track progress, and aid in the process of self-discovery.
That's right. Crowley believed that by carefully observing and recording our experiences, both mundane and magical, we can gain valuable insights into the patterns and themes that are playing out in our lives.
This reminds me of his teachings on the importance of paying attention to synchronicities.
Yes.
Those seemingly chance occurrences that can point us towards our true path.
Right.
He saw these synchronicities as messages from the universe, nudges in the right direction that we should heed.
Exactly. Crowley believed that by becoming more attuned to these subtle signs and messages, we can gain a deeper understanding of our purpose and align our actions with our true will.
Now, one of the most intriguing aspects of Crowley's work is his emphasis on the importance of breaking free from limiting beliefs. And embracing a more expansive view of reality.
Absolutely.
He saw traditional morality, especially around sexuality and personal freedom, as a form of restriction that hinders spiritual progress.
This is a theme that runs throughout his writings. Crowley challenged the conventional wisdom of his time, advocating for a more individualistic and liberating approach to life. He believed that true spiritual growth requires us to question our assumptions, break free from the constraints of dogma, and forge our own path based on our unique understanding of truth.
He also talked about the importance of overcoming fear.
He did.
Especially the fear of failure and the fear of the unknown.
Yes.
He saw fear as a major obstacle to spiritual progress. Arguing that it paralyzes us and prevents us from fully embracing the possibilities of life.
Crowley believed that true courage comes from facing our fears head-on, not from avoiding them or trying to suppress them. He saw courage as an essential quality for anyone seeking to explore the deeper mysteries of consciousness and the occult.
This reminds me of his advice to leap into the abyss.
Yes.
And to dare to be yourself.
He did.
He believed that by embracing the unknown and stepping outside of our comfort zones, we can achieve breakthroughs in consciousness and unlock hidden potential.
Absolutely.
He also emphasized the importance of taking responsibility for our own lives. Not blaming external forces or circumstances for our misfortunes.
He saw victimhood as a trap, a way of giving away our power and preventing ourselves from taking action to create the life we desire.
Now, Crowley's teachings have been criticized by some for being too focused on the individual and not paying enough attention to the needs of the collective.
It's true that Crowley placed a strong emphasis on individual self-development, but he believed that by by empowering ourselves, we can ultimately contribute to the betterment of society as a whole.
I see.
He saw the evolution of consciousness as a ripple effect, where each individual's transformation contributes to the awakening of humanity as a whole.
This reminds me of his concept of the new eon.
Right.
A period of spiritual awakening and social transformation.
Yes.
That he believed was ushered in by the revelation of the Book of the Law.
Exactly.
Crowley saw this new eon as a time of great opportunity and upheaval.
It is.
A time when old structures and belief systems would be challenged.
Right.
And new ways of being would emerge.
He believed that those who align themselves with the principles of Thelema, his philosophy of self-discovery and liberation, would play a key role in shaping this new era.
Now, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to touch on one more intriguing aspect of Crowley's teachings. He often talked about the importance of breaking free from the constraints of language and embracing a more intuitive and symbolic way of understanding the world.
Crowley believed that language, while essential for communication, can also limit our thinking and create artificial barriers between ourselves and the world around us.
Interesting.
He argued that by tapping into a more primal and intuitive way of knowing, we can access a deeper understanding of reality that transcends the limitations of words.
He saw symbols and images as powerful tools for bypassing the rational mind and connecting with the unconscious, where true wisdom and insight reside.
This reminds me of his teachings on the Kabbalah,
a
system of Jewish mysticism that uses symbols and correspondences to map out the hidden structure of the universe and its connection to the human psyche.
Crowley believed that by studying and working with these symbols, we can unlock hidden knowledge and gain a deeper understanding of the workings of creation.
Absolutely.
Crowley also emphasized the importance of developing our own personal symbolic language, a system of images and metaphors that resonates with our individual psyche, and it helps us to connect with the deeper forces of the universe.
He saw this as a way of creating a unique magical language that reflects our individual understanding of the world and empowers us to communicate with the unseen realms.
So it's not just about learning and using existing systems of symbols.
No.
It's also about creating our own personal symbolic language.
Right.
That reflects our unique understanding of the universe.
Exactly. Crowley believed that by developing this personal symbolic language, we can tap into a more primal and intuitive way of knowing. A way of understanding that transcends the limitations of words and connects us to the very heart of creation.
So we're talking about creating our own symbolic language, almost like a personal code for communicating with the universe.
Exactly.
I'm curious, did Crowley have any specific techniques or exercises for actually developing this kind of personal symbolic language?
He did. He believed that the process of creating this language is itself a magical act. A way of deepening our understanding of both ourselves and the universe. He recommended practices like dream journaling, active imagination, and even creating your own tarot deck or set of runes.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
So it's not just about learning the traditional meanings of symbols. It's about creating a system that's uniquely meaningful to you.
Exactly. He saw this as a way of tapping into the creative power of the unconscious mind, allowing symbols and images to emerge organically from your own personal experience.
You mentioned earlier that Crowley saw the three schools of magic, the yellow, black, and white, as representing different approaches to spiritual growth and self-discovery. I'd love to dig into those a bit more, especially their practical applications. Can you give me an example of how each school might approach a specific challenge? Let's say a creative block.
Absolutely. Let's start with the yellow school. They're all about aligning with the natural flow of things. So they might approach a creative block by cultivating a state of receptivity and stillness. They might meditate, spend time in nature, or engage in activities that help them to quiet the mind and allow inspiration to flow naturally.
So instead of forcing it,
yeah,
they're creating space for the creative energy to kind of emerge on its own.
Exactly.
Now, the black school, with their focus on transcending the limitations of the physical world, might approach a creative block as an opportunity to detach from the ego and its desires.
Exactly.
They might see the block itself as an illusion, a product of the the mind's attachment to outcomes.
That's right.
So they might use practices like meditation or contemplation to kind of dissolve the sense of blockage altogether.
Yes, exactly.
And what about the white school? How would they tackle this creative block?
The white school is all about action and transformation. So they might approach a creative block as a challenge to be overcome through focused will and effort. They might engage in rituals, visualizations, or other active practices designed to break through the block and unleash their creative potential.
So they might set a specific intention to overcome the block.
Right.
And use their will to manifest that outcome.
Precisely.
They might also draw upon their knowledge of correspondences.
Yeah.
Using colors, scents, or sounds associated with creativity to enhance their magical work.
That's right.
It's fascinating to see how each school has a completely different approach.
Yeah.
Yet they're all ultimately aiming for the same goal of overcoming the creative block.
That's the beauty of Crowley's system.
Yeah.
He recognized that there are many paths to the same destination.
Right.
And that each individual must find the approach that resonates most deeply with their own nature.
We've talked a lot about Crowley's magical system and his controversial reputation.
Of course.
But I'm also curious about his personal life.
Okay.
What was he like as a person?
Well, by all accounts, Crowley was a complex and contradictory character.
Right.
He was brilliant, charismatic, and intensely creative.
Right.
But he could also be arrogant, demanding, and prone to excess.
He definitely had a reputation for living life on his own terms, didn't he?
Yeah.
He challenged societal norms
Yes.
and embraced a lifestyle that many found shocking and unconventional.
He did.
But beneath the surface, he was also a deeply spiritual seeker, wasn't he?
Oh, absolutely.
Someone who was driven by a profound thirst for knowledge and a desire to unlock the hidden mysteries of existence.
100%.
It sounds like he was a man of extremes.
Yeah.
Capable of both great brilliance and great folly.
I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
He was a true individualist, someone who refused to be confined by the expectations of others.
And while his choices and actions were often controversial, there's no denying the impact he had on the world of esoteric thought and practice.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of Aleister Crowley,
Yeah.
what are some key takeaways for our listeners?
You okay?
What can we learn from this complex and often controversial figure?
Well, I think one of the most important lessons we can glean from Crowley is the importance of questioning everything. He challenged dogma, he challenged authority, and he encouraged us to think for ourselves and to forge our own path based on our own individual understanding of truth.
He also emphasized the importance of personal experience over blind faith, right?
Absolutely.
He believed that true knowledge comes from direct experience,
Yeah.
from engaging with the world and testing things out for ourselves.
That's right.
And he wasn't afraid to embrace the unconventional.
He wasn't.
To explore the taboo.
Right.
And to push the boundaries of what was considered acceptable.
And while not all of his choices were wise or admirable, his willingness to challenge the status quo and to explore the darker aspects of human nature can be inspiring for those who are seeking to break free from societal constraints and to live a more authentic life.
I think another important takeaway is the power of the will.
Right.
Crowley believed that we are all capable of shaping our own reality, of achieving our goals and of overcoming our limitations through focused intention and effort.
Yes, he saw the will as a force to be cultivated and directed.
Okay.
A key to unlocking our hidden potential and manifesting our desires.
And finally, I think Crowley's emphasis on self-discovery and spiritual growth is a message that continues to resonate today.
It does.
He encouraged us to explore the depths of our own being, to confront our shadows, and to embrace the journey of becoming who we truly are.
He saw this journey as a lifelong process, one that requires courage, honesty, and a willingness to constantly evolve and expand our understanding of ourselves and the universe.
So as we conclude this deep dive into the world of Aleister Crowley, I want to leave our listeners with this thought.
Okay.
Crowley's life and teachings, while often controversial and challenging, offer a potent reminder that we are all capable of extraordinary things.
We are.
We have the power to break free from limiting beliefs, to shape our own reality.
Yes.
And to create a life that is aligned with our truest selves.
He challenged us to step into our own power.
Right.
To embrace the unknown.
Yeah.
And to never stop exploring the vast and mysterious landscape of consciousness.
So, dear listener, what will you choose to create?
That's the question.
What mysteries will you unravel?
Exactly.
The journey is yours to take.
It is.
Until next time, keep diving deep, keep seeking knowledge, and keep pushing the boundaries of what you believe is possible.